Greg Abbott, USDA APHIS. That stands for U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. Now, we've heard a lot of good presentations tonight, but mine is the one that we've all been waiting for. It's the last one. So anyway, glad to be here, and thanks to Jake and Steve and those guys that have helped set this up, and Matt, obviously. I am with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and I think, well, what others think is important about that is that I am the grasshopper guy. If you've got grasshopper infestations, I can help. If you've got Mormon cricket issues, which you probably don't, and you're next to the woods, not so bad, but if you do, hey, I'm your glorified seagull. So Christopher Watson with Utah Department of Agriculture has been helping me, and I've been helping him for decades, actually. So between the two of us, we survey grasshopper populations throughout Utah. I've been doing it for 30 years, and we do those surveys for potential treatment issues, both on private land, federal, state lands, mostly range land, but we also help you guys with your cropland situations. This has been done for 60 years. Most of you probably don't know that, but yeah, grasshoppers can be a big issue. We've spent all night listening to how we can increase our forage, help out our crops, how do we take care of some noxious weeds. But when grasshoppers show up and start eating all that good feed that we've been putting fertilizer on, well, you know, what the heck do you do? Well, I'm going to answer just a couple of questions tonight. I'm going to make this quite brief, and I'd like to hear from those of you that have some questions about it, and I'll at the end here, when we start answering questions, I can get more specific. So I'll give a brief overview of this and let you know kind of where things sit, where things stand today. This first part is the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food private cost share program. They've had this for many years. When we have treatment projects, we like to get everyone involved that has infestation issues. That makes it cheaper for everyone. That helps take care of the problem so that we don't have reinfestation potentials from either grasshoppers or Mormon crickets. We did, to help out with, well, let me finish with this cost share program. The state in the past has participated, let me back up. Whenever there's a private acre involved in this program, the feds pay for a third of that treatment cost. The state pays a third, and the private individual who owns the land pays a third. And so that's how Congress has told us that we can help you guys. This year we did over 3,000 grasshopper and Mormon cricket survey stops in Utah. There we found that nearly, there was pretty close to 600,000 infested acres across the state, meaning there was 8 or more grasshoppers per square yard in those areas. They were mostly box elder, sandpeep, Millard, Tooele, Duchesne, Uinta, and Beaver counties. Not so much on you guys, but there were some local issues up around some of you guys as well. Of that infested acreage, 321,000 and well, about 321.6 were infested private acres. And then 205 infested federal acres, mostly BLM. Here's what our survey stops look like for you guys. These are what our maps look like when it's all said and done. Each little dot on there represents a stop, a count, a grasshopper count in the map on your left, or a Mormon cricket count on your map on the right. Each little dot, as you can see, the reds represent 15 or more per square yard. The yellows are 9 to 14 grasshoppers per square yard, and the green is 1 to 8. Kind of the light green, and then of course the light blue is 0. And you can see the areas where most of the infestations were. Some of that's up in Box Elder and Cache County, and a little bit over, and not so much in Carbon, but it looks like some growing areas there. Mormon crickets mostly down in Beaver County. This has been going on like this for in this kind of infestation for several years. Here's 2019, both grasshopper, Mormon cricket, 2018 on the left and 2017 on the right. So things have been progressing just a little bit the last couple of years. And what we can do is, or what we do is, when you identify areas that have, if you think your stuff's getting eaten, your forage is getting eaten by grasshoppers, it's imperative that you discover them early. In the first part of May, even late April, but typically in the first part of May, you'll see little 1/4 inch long grasshoppers everywhere. Unfortunately, we typically find that the first year that you have grasshopper issues, you don't really notice them until they're flying and hitting you in the windshield when you drive across the edge of your field. So typically that second year after they've hit you, then you start to say, hey, well, I got to look for these things much earlier. But anyway, once you do start noticing grasshoppers, you can give us a call. We'll come up and make counts for you and give you a biological assessment of what they're going to do to your particular forage. Not all grasshoppers are equal. There's actually a beneficial species in the state they call the snakeweed grasshopper. There are some grasshoppers that never get very numerous. There are some that will eat your stuff right to the ground. So if you think you have an issue, you can contact your county agent. They're in contact with me all the time. They got my information. Or at the end of this presentation, which will be very shortly, I'll give you my phone number. And I've got guys that work all over the state from about the 1st of May through about the middle of September. So we can help you out all season. There's 2 types of treatments that we do if we have a large infestation, and if we can get the entire, almost all of the infestation, I'll put it that way, included in the spray project or the treatment project, then we can initiate one of 2 types of treatments. Aerial applications or ground applications, depending on the species of grasshopper, or if they're Mormon crickets, we can do that using ATVs and cedars spreaders on the back, and it's kind of a search and destroy type mission. But I guess the bottom line is here, whenever we do, if you have an infestation, talk to all your neighbors and find out if they do, because the more acreage we can put together in a project, the cheaper it'll be. And again, the infestation potential goes way down. When like Earl talked about, you don't want to, when you want to treat something, spend $1 an acre, you want to get $2 or $3 out of that. So when you spend $2 or $3 an acre on grasshopper treatment, you don't want to just save $1 an acre's worth of forage, whether it be alfalfa or just pasture forage. So when we do these treatments, we expect, based on getting all the infestation treated, that you'll get 3 to 5 years of control with that one single treatment. And that way we maximize our money expenditure for you guys. But anyway, we can talk about that. This is a pretty complex program, and it'd be really tough to talk about everything here tonight. But if here's my, oh, I did want to show you this one. This was This was down in Beaver County in Sulphurdale. And this is a typical treatment issue that we had along I-15, where we did ground treatments for Mormon crickets. This little field path right here is the boundary between the private cultivated land and the BLM rangeland out here, where crickets were hatching in profusion. We were able to, because we had ample warning and early warning, we were able to come in with our ATVs and treat along here where the cricket egg beds were to keep them from coming down and devouring all these good alfalfa that the Yardleys had planted down in here. So this is a typical treatment, how we do it. We typically treat the rangeland, any BLM or Forest Service, state land, we take care of that. And you'll have to take care of the cultivated acres, but any any pasture that you have, we can include that as part of our rangeland treatment. And we will, again, participate with you to the tune of 1/3. The state will do probably 1/3 this year. We don't know just yet. Perhaps more, they've done more in the past. And then that would leave you with 1/3 left to pay of the entire treatment cost. When we do treat, we do 50% coverage with the insecticides that we use. And that, again, that cuts your cost in half. So it's a pretty good deal. And we aim to please. Here's my contact information if you would like it. And yeah, this was in Utah just a few years back, actually in Millard County.
All right. Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
Nope.
Greg. I mean, cut you off. Okay, we do have one question here. It's from Mark down in Beaver. Are you going to be able to spray for Mormon crickets this year?
Hey, Mark, I know that guy. You know, he's bugged me for years about treating down in Beaver County, and I've usually been able to help him until last year. We had some environmental, well, I call them environmental Nazi issues, but anyway, that precluded us from treatment. Mark, we've already got our EAs in place. We expect to be able to treat unless they file a court injunction to stop us, which is always a possibility. So to answer your question, maybe. No, I expect we'll be able to. Just keep your fingers crossed, will you? This is a biological control agent of grasshoppers and Mormon crickets. And this is the biological control agent of the biological control agents. Sort of related to county agents.
I like that. It looks like we got a couple more questions for you. If/when drought or heat waves persist, are there any projections for shifts in grasshopper abundance or distribution shifts?
Yes, and they typically, in successive drought years, typically increase from year to year. Drought helps the eggs to hatch, or should I say wet ground when egg hatching time comes inhibits hatching. It tends to promote fungal growth, which stifles egg hatching. So yeah, dry years, typically it's worse. And that's in years where you typically don't have the forage, you know, and then the grasshoppers come and just make it worse.